Markets. They're like mirrors of human desire, and today in the watch world, they reveal a very muddled picture. On the one hand, a steel Rolex Land-Dweller sells for $36,000 above its retail on the grey market, proving hype still rules logic. Audemars Piguet's Royal Oak, however, once an untouchable icon, sees its resale value slip below retail for the first time, and Rolex Certified Pre-Owned dealer, the 1916 company, declare war on independents with very aggressive and affordable pricing that could fracture grey dealer margins and reset the entire landscape. Change is happening. This is the state of the watch market. I'm Vinny, welcome back. Let's start with that first story then. The very first Rolex Land-Dweller since its release at Watches and Wonders back in March has hit the grey market and sold for a whopping $51,250 on eBay around the beginning of this month. That's July 2025. This was the white, gold and steel reference 127334, and it was offered in an auction on eBay with a starting price of its retail value. That's $15,250. But of course it sold to more than 3 times its sticker price to generate a whopping $36,000 profit for the lucky flipper involved there. This tremendous premium on the grey market, the first entrance to the grey market, comes as no surprise to any of us. I did put a video out there a few months ago where I predicted some of the wild first grey market prices we could see for this and the new Oyster Perpetual models as well, and it was very much a prediction in line with the reality. 3 or 4 times the retail. It's not going to stay around that region in the next few months as more of these come out. It's not going to flood out. I'm not going to use that word because I think this will be fairly limited in supply on the market, but as these start to trickle out on the grey market, expect that price tag to fall to 40, maybe even $35,000 and sort of settle around there for the next year or two. The Land-Dweller has widely been hailed as the biggest launch of the year by any Swiss watchmaker, so these kind of premiums come as no surprise, but allocations of course at the authorised dealer are going to be extremely tight. £36,000 is the headline profit that the original owner of this watch has made, but you know, what has he done to get that watch? Literally sold his soul and bought every other lady's 28mm gold encrusted awful piece that they can't sell. So it's a bit of a misnomer that he's made an absolute fortune on this. I doubt he has. To be honest, his spend history would be, I'd imagine, enormous to date. And the next headline, the 1916 company, a Rolex Certified Pre-Owned dealer. So if you're new to the channel, the Certified Pre-Owned program basically is where genuine authorized dealers of brand new Rolex pieces are now allowed to take into stock used Rolex watches and sell them at a premium above the retail price of the new watches that they're selling alongside. So it allows people to get ownership of the watches without going on a wait list but paying a premium. Now to date, it was the case where the CPO program was wildly inflated above and beyond the prices of the grey market. It wasn't really a threat to independent dealers and hasn't been for the last year or two it's been in operation. However, now it appears that the 1916 company are ramping up their aggressive pricing and have come very close indeed to independent dealers' prices within 15% of the grey market averages. Rolex have not imposed any flat valuation system on their ADs, their CPO retailers. So they are free to really price those Rolexes whatever they like and be as competitive with the pricing as they want. So if we have a look at the moment, we've got the 1916 company now within 15% of independent dealers, the grey market average. However, Bucherer are still 3 times above those premiums. So we're really seeing a bit of a price war that will start to ensue now amongst those certified pre-owned dealers as others try to compete with the 1916 company, which is now going to drive the average CPO prices down to very competitive levels. Now, I've always said, guys, that the independents, the grey market dealers, it's impossible for us to compete directly with Certified Pre-Owned program. There is no doubt that the Certified Pre-Owned program, buying from an authorized dealer, someone you can trust, someone you absolutely can be assured that the watch is genuine, has been serviced, and even comes with a Rolex warranty, I think, of 2 years. There's no doubt that that provides more value than you'd get from an independent dealer. So an independent dealer would have to be priced at less for them really to be in business. Now, I said years ago when this program came out and it was launched, if they come close to the independent dealer margins, then it's going to cause issues. And if it comes to pass that there is a market player that is actually in direct competition that, look, we can't compete with because they offer more value, then it just means that we are going to have to put our prices down more and pay less in trade price for the watches that we take into stock. I'm sure Bucherer will try and compete more heavily with their prices, and that's just going to create a price war. And finally, secondary market prices for Audemars Piguet's headline watch, the Royal Oak, have dropped below retail for the first time since 2022, pre all of the hype bandwagon. Flippers once made fortunes out of buying AP watches at retail and selling them on the grey market. Now there is barely any margin at all in the mighty Royal Oak. Grey market values for the Code 1159 model have fallen by another 21% over the past year, meaning that you can pick up 1159 now on average 33% cheaper than the retail price tag. Now, of course, much of this is down to the astronomical price rises that we've seen over the last couple of years, which have been exponential, one after the other, in some cases for Rolex every 6 months. And you know, for the last year and a half, 2 years, the grey market just has failed to take any notice of that. It was the case before where prices would go up at retail, grey market dealers would respond with a similar sort of increase percentage wise. That hasn't happened for quite a while, and even with AP models now, the differential on their least desired model, the Code 1159, is enormous between the retail and the grey market, but that has also now spread to their most popular line in the Royal Oak. The Royal Oak offshore models, which are now 11% cheaper compared to retail prices over the last 12 months. But the most highly demanded Royal Oak line, the Gerald Genta Classic, is still being traded above the retail, about 20% in some cases, but that means that in most cases actually you would struggle if you were picking that up at the authorized dealer to get your money back at trade value from a grey market dealer. So suddenly the allure of the Royal Oak as a asset that will make you money in a quick flip scenario, like with many Rolexes, has now evaporated entirely, and so we can expect, I'm sure as a result of this, waitlists will fall and it may become much easier to pick up a Royal Oak at your authorized dealer. And certainly in the cases of the Code 1159 and the offshore Royal Oaks, perhaps even without any waitlist at all. This ever tumbling values on the grey market compared with the retail prices, which are going in exactly the opposite direction, is creating a chasm in values between the grey market and retail that we've perhaps not seen before. And it seems strange, maybe it's inflation that is driving a need for retailers to ramp up prices exponentially, but it seems strange that they are persisting in doing that, because demand for those watches brand new at retail will inevitably fall. It's not just limited to Rolex and Audemars Piguet. The case is much worse for even less desirable luxury Swiss brands. You can see that LVMH brand watches have fallen by 8.9% on the grey market. Richemont brands 8.9% as well. Swatch Group have fallen by 5.8%, and Audemars Piguet in there at 4.9%. So let me know, guys, what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done already. 72% of you haven't subscribed to the channel, so I'd be grateful if you could do that. Join me again next time for more watches, truth, and no bullshit.